Hello again. I want to talk this morning about books. I have got a lot of books and I also write a lot of the things. So you might say that I have a professional interest in them. Here are three of my books, which I've selected for a reason. Here is the Bible. It's my personal copy I've had for many years. This is the Dhammapada, which is a key Buddhist scripture. And this is the Qur'an, the sacred book of Islam. Now, I value all books, and it pains me to see a book mistreated. I don't even like seeing a paperback novel chucked down carelessly so that it becomes creased or torn. To me, books are, in and of themselves, worthy of respect and should be handled carefully. Having said that, however, I own these three books, and if I wish to behave like an illiterate barbarian and damage or destroy them, then that is my business. I want to pose three cases to viewers. Let us imagine first that I take this copy of the Buddhist scriptures and right now in front of the camera rip it to pieces or set it on fire. What would the result be? Well, of course, many of those watching would regard me with disgust as a Philistine, quite likely, but that would be the limit of it. What about my Bible? Suppose I set fire to that right now in front of the camera. The same thing. It would be seen as a private act of a weird old man with too much time on his hands, and there would be no other consequence. What about this copy of the Qur'an? Suppose I set fire to it in this video so that anybody could view the video on YouTube. Well, no, that's entirely different. I would be arrested for inciting racial hatred. How do I know this? Because it's happened more than once in the past. In the description to this video, I give a link to a newspaper article from 2017 about a man doing that very thing, that is to say, setting fire to a copy of the Qur'an. He put the film on Facebook and the police came round and arrested him. Does anybody else find this shocking and unacceptable? Why should it be that I can insult and desecrate the scriptures of any religion I please, but that if I do this to anything relating to Islam, I will be arrested? Obviously, I've no more dream of damaging this book than I would of any other books, including my Bible, but that's not really the point. All three of these books contain a good deal of common sense and also bits which are utterly loopy. I don't follow any religion, although I read regularly the scriptures of a number of different faiths. I'm damned if I see, though, why Islam should be singled out for special protection. I was prompted to think along these lines by the case which has been reported over the last few days from the Yorkshire town of Wakefield in the north of England. I give a link to a newspaper article about this case, again in the description to the video. Some 14-year-old boys were being idiots, as boys of that age will be, and a copy of the Qur'an was dropped on the floor of a classroom and the cover scuffed. Whereupon the headmaster of the school rang the police and suspended the boys. Let's pause for a moment and cast our mind back to our own school days. When I was at school, we didn't have religious education as a lesson. Instead, we had scripture. The Bible was a big thing then. We all had hymn books and copies of the New Testament. These used to get quite tatty and scuffed, and I dare say some were dropped on the floor deliberately. Does anybody seriously imagine that if a teacher saw a copy of the New Testament fall to the floor and perhaps get kicked, that he would have rushed off and telephoned to the police? He might have called the culprit a young idiot, but that would have been it. Do any viewers think that if a Bible had fallen on the floor in this way the other day in that school in Wakefield, that the headmaster would have rung the police? No? What is going on that a foreign religion is treated with such reverence as this, a respect far exceeding that shown to any other faith? Is the reason simply that the adherents of this religion are more likely than Christians, Jews or Buddhists to become violent and threaten death to those who offend against their belief system? If so, why are the police siding with those who threaten violence in this way? Why will they leap to the defense of Islam but not of Buddhism? There is something very wrong here, and I shall be talking about this more in the future.